Right, if you have just tuned in, or not tuned in, clicked on, shall I say, the link for this video, this is still YouTube, and yes, it is still a video about RC cars. More specifically, the video is about the Durango desc410r. The reason this video is happening today is because this is Britain, it's cold, it's wet, and there's not much to do even when it is not raining. This is Britain, I can prove it to you. This is a £20 note. The reason I am going into so much detail about the fact that it is Britain is because in my last video, that you should go over to my channel and check out, or over there, sorry, you did, if you look in the comments, there is someone mocking me about the way I spelt tyres. If you look, Britain spells tyres different to the rest of the world, or most of the world. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the camera around and share with you some of my positive and negative thoughts and things that are really big design flaws about this truck. Right, I'll spin you around. We'll start with the positives first. This is the Durango, but from first glance, because of the Proline Raptor body, not the J-Concepts one, doesn't look much like a Durango, and to the trained eye you'll see that this bumper isn't a Durango, and neither is this bumper. I'll go into more detail about that later, but it's just got the normal fins, normal loopers, have cut out the back there just for when going over the jumps. I know this car is going to be rated commentary, so it needs to try and combat that parachuting effect as much as possible. Right, so underneath that body, what I'm running on the back is some Fast Track Course King tyres. I'm not sure what compound they are, I think they're just one compound. On the front are some Proline M3 calibers. The wheel nuts are white because the last track I was racing at had white wooden walls around it and the race was quite close. Standard weight 60 weight shock oil, front and rear. Standard places for the shocks and everything. I am using some Vampire batteries, which are 5460Cs, with, you might notice, the Traxxas plug. The reason for the Traxxas plug is I am using a Novak 550 4.5 turn motor with the corresponding speed control. This is the Traxxas package, that's why the Traxxas connector, you'll notice, is on there. For the servo, I am using a Savox 1258TG. It's a very good servo. I haven't had any problems with it. However, I have had some problems with the electrics. You might notice in the first video that I was using a SXX TC spec that went bust because the car was trying to extract too much power through it, couldn't handle it and blew up, and the 5.5 motor seemed to go really bad and have a lot of problems with it, so I then swapped out to this. Positives, the car as a whole does handle well. The suspension is good all round. It handles very good with minimal setup effort. The only thing I built the car with calibers because I know they're a good all round tyre. It handles on Astro calibers all round very well. However, I did need some more rear traction and rear bite, so I got these Course King tyres, which are very good tyres. They seem to wear fairly fast though, the same as the calibers there. On a whole, the truck is a good fast truck. It's just fast when it lasts. I have been into RC for 9 years. I do know how to build trucks, and starting from the front, this is the negatives now. This is a Traxxas / 4x4 front bumper that I have fabricated an aluminium front brace for that substitutes the Durango front attachment, and then it just has some holes re-drilled on the bottom for mounting onto the plate of the chassis. This bumper does allow a lot more flex. than the almost solid standard Durango one. That bumper was so solid, in fact, that their terrible steering design that you can see there is different. It popped off halfway through a race and caused the car on the back of the straight, for its, obviously because the steering popped off, it had no steering, figuratively speaking, and the car just went, it coasted to a stop, but it hit the wall with a decent amount of force, probably just that much. But because the front Durango bumper was so solid, all that shock that hit that bumper was then transferred back through this straight into the front bevel gear, crown gear of the differential, which caused it to lose a tooth. Then throughout the racing, that continued to shred more teeth off it as the little shards of metal were flying around inside the casing. I was then informed by one of the Durango drivers that they, not only through my reckoning was the bumper too solid so it didn't absorb the shocks, but that the casting that they'd used to make the crown gears had too much air in it, so they make them incredibly weak. Also, for the shocks, there are good shocks, they handle very well. The only thing is, where the shaft goes up through, and there's a piston, and then there's a little bolt and a washer holding it on. That little bolt will refuse to stay in. I resorted to buying another full set of shocks to rebuild them again. Rebuilt the shaft, this time with the pin. In the instruction manual, it doesn't say to use Loctite. I was also told by a J-Concepts driver that I was racing with that Loctite should always be used, so I used that. Avoided contact with silicone. I haven't tried them to see if it's worked yet, because the next event is in about 3 weeks. Going back through the car, the centre, this is a centre differential, just there. It's not the just diff locker anymore. Again, I haven't tried this, but what I did have happen in the last event was the slipper nut back right off after being tightened up and Loctite in the space of about 3 minutes, which caused the slipper clutch to slip excessively and the spur gear to melt and catch fire. So yeah, that went well. In the rear again, the same issue with the shock absorbers. They do leave a lot to be desired, and I've been informed that the associated shocks do the same thing, even though they're pre-built. Coming round to the rear here, this is an associated SC10 two-wheel drive rear bumper. The mounts here have been cut off, and then the edge of the spoiler mount here, it's been pushed up against these corners, hole drilled through with some 3mm hex screws in it. But as you know, the SC10 doesn't have a sump guard as such, a skid plate as such. So I fashioned myself a skid plate out of a Savage one I had lying around. You just have to drill 2 bolts in there and put nuts on the other side, which are in there, to hold it on and secure it properly. The car on a whole seems to be fast, but seems to be incredibly unreliable. The amount of flaws and faults that I have had with it range into the tens, and it's literally finished 1 out of 20 races it could have. Agreeably, I originally didn't have a back bumper for this that I made, so that arm holder there, which you can see is now aluminium, was originally plastic, and because there was no rear bumper, I did a practice lap at the first race at Silverstone. The car came down like that, impacted there on that then plastic one, and caused it to snap off, causing the arm to shed all of its bushings and spacers and fall off. That was 2 laps, that was the car brand new. And then I had all the problems with the ring gears and the slipper clutch melting and the shock absorbers and the front bumpers. But now I think I've addressed all these issues the car should handle well. Also, I am running a flat piece of Lexan that I used to make a under tray to protect the black anodized chassis. these are some issues that I hope nobody else has to have, but I'll just spin the camera around. That I hope nobody else has to have, because I've had more issues with this particular car than I have had any car. In fact, this car has driven me to the point where it has pushed me out of the RC hobby. I have been in it for 9 years. I've had countless fun, pretty much countless problems as well, but no car has pushed me enough to make me step out of the hobby and go, this is it, I've had enough of this, this is it. So this could very well be one of the only videos for the channel, but I hope this video has helped you well, to let you know what you might experience. Fingers crossed I won't have any more problems with it, but if you address these issues, the car itself has the qualities to win. But things like the Hongnors and the Lossies were all built off 8-scale chassis, which are known for being strong and rugged. The Durango wasn't. It was built off a 10-scale desc410r chassis, which is a buggy, is lighter, doesn't have to be as strong as an 8-scale, and therefore making that into a short course was a huge mistake. One, because it's not durable enough to be fun, and two, because it can't last a race, and also because they have made the chassis thin, which does make it handle better, but I can't help thinking a little bit wider just made it easier to install everything. But on that, I'll see you next